And a big hello, everybody. Welcome to Wheel Stories. Today I'm taking a spin on my Harley Davidson Roadster, the XL1200CX Sportster, riding some of my favorite country back roads near Boise, Idaho. Look closely and you can see some snow on those hills off in the distance. I am bundled up, but the story is when you have a brand new motorcycle sitting in the garage, begging you, tempting you to go for a ride, the idea is to layer up with some thermal underwear and winter riding gear, and you endure the freezing temperatures and wind chill. At least that's what I'm doing. Thankfully, I have some warm winter riding gloves. Now, I'm still in the process of breaking this bike in with less than 500 miles clocked on the odometer, keeping the revs down below 3,500 RPM. My plan today is to share some of my initial thoughts and opinions on the Roadster. I will tell you what I am liking about the bike and address some of the negatives, things that I may change or upgrade down the road. And we'll listen to the motorcycle. You can hear it now as I light out for the countryside. In my last episode, I talked about my interest in retro-styled motorcycles. I'd been looking around at the BMW R9T, the Triumph Bonnevilles, the Thruxton, and other traditionally styled bikes that have become popular. I knew I wanted a motorcycle with personality and character, with design cues borrowed from the past, and preferably an air-cooled twin. I love the simplicity of an air-cooled twin-cylinder engine. I wasn't interested in a true vintage bike. I didn't want an antique that requires a lot of attention. So when I saw the Harley Davidson Roadster, I fell in love. The Roadster reminds me of a good rock song. I love rock and roll. Rock originated here in America, and so did the Harley Davidson Sportster. Rock started in the 1950s, and so too did the Sportster, introduced by Harley in 1957, and manufactured continuously ever since. It is one of the longest-running models in the motorcycle industry. Good rock and roll, in my opinion, is raw, gritty, full of attitude and swagger, and so too is the Roadster. The classic 1200cc EVO twin produces a cool sounding beat, that unmistakable potato-potato sounding rhythm that drives and propels the bike with lots of torque. You always know when there's a Harley coming down the road, so in my mind the Roadster is rock and roll. It's embodied with that spirit. Okay, look here, we've got the Payette River coming into view. The river is calm and placid through this part of the valley, but north of here, up in the mountains, between Horseshoe Bend and Cascade, the river features some wild rapids, perfect for kayakers and rafters who enjoy hitting the river in spring and early summer. Loud pipes are one of, if not the most common upgrades made on Harley Davidsons. Many riders replace the pipes immediately after making a purchase. I haven't made any plans yet. I'm not really into loud exhaust. In fact, I've already got a bit of ringing in my ears and always wear earplugs when riding. But I may consider some pipes that enhance the character of the motorcycle sound without dramatically increasing the volume. Let's turn our ears to the sound of the bike in stock form. Now take a look at the seat. When I first sat on the bike, I thought this seat will need to go. It's narrow and very hard. I've replaced the seat on just about every motorcycle I've ever owned. But after riding a few miles, I've got to say it's actually not too bad. We'll see after I've taken some longer rides. I want to see what my hind end, my ass, tells me after spending several hours in the saddle. During the spring, I always see some snakes slithering across the road around here. Some of them are alive, others with tire treads across their backs, stuck to the road. Not sure what type of snake. I would imagine garters, bull snakes, and maybe rattlers. I've never stopped to take a close look. When I first discovered the bike, I was concerned about the handlebars as well. I thought I'd need a bit more rise, some taller bars, maybe by an inch or two. The bars are also a bit wide and slightly downturned at the grips. But thus far, the handlebars are working for me. I have no complaints. The ergonomics of the motorcycle are in truth quite moderate. Take a look here at a side view of the motorcycle. You'll notice just a slight lean forward from the seat to the handlebars. It's a pretty traditional seating position. The mid-position foot pegs are a bit strange, however, placed rather wide for such a narrow bike. You can't really see here, but my legs are splayed or spread rather wide. Feels a bit odd at the hips. And unfortunately, the pegs are placed right where you want to drop your feet when coming to a stop. My shins are usually right up against the backside of the pegs when I rest my feet on the ground. I suspect that I'll be grinding the pegs on occasion as I head off for the twisty mountain roads later in the spring. But these pegs are higher off the ground than all of the other Sportsters, and that's a good thing. The Roadster is equipped with Showa 43mm inverted front forks and dual disc brakes at the front wheel. And this is the ABS model. With 4.5 inches of travel, these forks are a big improvement from the traditional 39mm forks featured on the other Sportsters. The dual floating discs with 2 piston calipers feel plenty strong. And to be honest, I can't imagine riding the bike with a single disc up front. In the rear, the Roadster features the tallest shocks in the Sportster lineup. These are Showa shocks that offer preload adjustment and 3.2 inches of travel. The suspension is a significant upgrade from the rest of the Sportster family. And what I can tell you is the bike rides very firm. You definitely feel the bumps. One of my favorite things about the bike is the clean, simple clock that sits in the middle of the handlebars. The tack is analog and easy to read. The speedometer, however, is digital and slightly hard to read in bright sunlight. You can cycle the digital display through the speedometer, odometer, 2 trip meters, and a time clock with the press of a button on the left handlebar controls. But again, I find the design very clean and well organized, well positioned, and laid out, right there in front of you. The Roadster Twin produces 76 foot-pounds of torque at 3,750 RPMs. The low-end grunt is excellent. I'm not 100% sure about the horsepower for the bike. I've read where the engine makes an estimated 67 horses. So the top end doesn't match the bottom end. It could use a bit more oomph in the upper revs. On a related note, I find myself hunting for a 6th gear that doesn't exist. This is a 5-speed. That's when I get up to 75 miles per hour. But honestly, that's not what this bike was really made to do. The 5-speed torquey twin is intended for riding around city streets and taking some swift back road rides. One of the most common complaints about the Sportster is the tank size. The looks of the peanut tank are classic, very cool, but they're kind of small. This one holds 3.3 gallons. With an estimated 45 to 48 miles per gallon, I'll be hunting for a service station after going about 100 to 120 miles on my trips. But again, the lines of the tank blend perfectly with the overall design and contours of the motorcycle. Very classic, very cool. Up ahead is where the big nasty hill climb is run each year. We'll ride past it in just a few minutes. By the way, I've ordered an Elson rig tail bag for my camera gear and other things that I take on my rides, and a small National Cycle windscreen. I'll get these accessories installed when they arrive, and then show them to you in an upcoming video. I can't wait. The hillside you see on the right with the steep incline is where the riders compete in the Big Nasty. This road is closed and bikes start from that field you see on the left, crossing the road as they head up the hill. The Big Nasty is a fitting name for the event. Quite a wild ride. Well, that does it for today's ride and review of the Harley Davidson Roadster on Wheel Stories. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so. I have more videos to come featuring my BMW R1150Rs and this brand new Roadster. Also, be sure to press that bell notification so you'll be alerted the next time I post a video. Until next time, thanks for watching everybody, and I will see you in the next one. Happy trails!